Our monthly professional development seminar. What I'd like to do off the bat is introduce the chairman of the board, executive director, and founder of the Wyakin Warrior Foundation, Jeff Bacon.
When do we start clapping? The nice thing about starting an organization, you get to choose what title you want. I get to get all of this. Tonight's presentation is going to be about service. We hear an awful lot about service. Really the topic is overcoming challenges. But all of you have a service project, and I know that those I've talked to, I guess I've talked to all of you about this, but all of you have this great desire to give back. Sometimes it's an individual. I remember the first time I met James Neal, he was talking about a friend of his that he'd like to help. Sometimes it's something much larger than that, veterans groups, and we have 2 or 3 of you that are going to be working in helping with veterans. We're all in this room for a service for others, and the people I'm going to introduce here are in that same vein. Randy Smith and Tony Pence are from Northwestern Mutual. A few months ago now, they had a training seminar and a golf tournament, and they chose the Wyakin Warrior Foundation as the recipient of their benevolence. They asked us to come and talk, and we told them about you. We told them about the Warriors, what you have gone through, that each of you has made a decision that you're going to move forward. And you can't minimize that step right there. It's a huge step. There, as you guys all know, and we all know, veterans who haven't taken that step. You did. You decided you're going to make something out of yourselves, and here you all are. 42 people donated with this effort from Northwestern Mutual. Randy was just saying that it's one of the largest participations they've had with similar type of foundations, because your story is compelling. You joined the military to serve. Your career was interrupted. You made a decision you're going to move forward, and now you want to serve again. And I think that's very noteworthy. And tonight's speaker is also going to talk an awful lot about that, because he's done the same thing. So I'd like to introduce Randy and Tony to come up. And oh no, you're going to take pictures.
I'm a photo person.
Okay, well,
Hi, everybody.
and Randy, I'd like you to say a few words as well.
You know, it's really a humbling thought to be here, especially in front of you warriors, and the service that you've given your country and the sacrifices you've made. And when we had the opportunity to meet Roy and Jeff and hear the story, it was just very, very touching and really moved all of us. I've been with our organization 27 years, and in 27 years I've never seen all of us get around an organization and do this. And so it's with a lot of pride from our organization, but with a lot of humility for what you've done and who you are and what you've created, Jeff, and your efforts, Roy, that we do make a donation. And it's not just this. We've got a lot of people that are very interested in devoting a lot of time, and we hope that this is the beginning of a relationship where there's a lot of us from our organization not only contributing money, but I think that what we can provide with human capital is going to be more important than what we can do here. So thank you, and we really appreciate it.
We're going to do the big giant check. And for those who can't see, the big giant check says $5,000.
Well, I need you to smile. Come on, you guys.
It's $5,000.
It's $5,000. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank
Thank you
you.
to all of you.
Thank
All
you,
of those
Tanya.
who
You're welcome.
means everything to us.
We're proud to be here, and you'll see a lot more of us, hopefully. So.
We have, these are challenge coins. In the military tradition, those are given for doing good things. And,
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so now I have the pleasure of introducing one of our outstanding stellar warriors, James Neely.
More than my cane. Excuse me, I'm horrible at doing this. I'm introducing Dr. Steve Kituku tonight. Did I say that right?
It's-
I will have a brother by that name.
Okay, so Steve's good.
So represent it.
I'm introducing Dr. Kituku tonight. He's an author as well as an international speaker, and he regularly teaches leadership courses, regularly teaches leadership as well as employee motivation. And so, from what a little bit that I've heard, he's going to be a great speaker tonight. And can't wait to hear what else he's got to say. Sir.
Thank you so much. I think Roy sent me an email, and when I read the email, I almost wanted to tell him, really, thank you so much. That time, I had so many things going on, and we were able to connect. And then last week we talked, and he explained to me about this program. And I was able to explain to him some few things, and which I also shared with the warriors here. But before we do that, because now we have the public here, I think probably this is the first time some of you have heard me speak for the first time. How many of you this is the first time? Whoa! So you can tell that I have an accent? Can you? Yeah, I do have an accent, and I always tell people it's from Wyoming. When I came to this country, I landed in Laramie, Wyoming, and life has never been the same again. Yeah, and we moved here in 1992. We love Hideout. You know, I travel all over the world to speak, and when I tell people you live in Hideout, they ask me, how do you live there? And then I tell them I have a house. Then they ask me, how did you go there? I tell them I took a plane the first time. We really have loved it here very much. In fact, we live in Eagle. And it doesn't, Roy doesn't know this. One of the amazing things for us is really, my wife and I, to come to this unbelievable community and just be loved. I don't know whether you have gone to a place and you feel loved. My daughter, Caroline, was the class president of Eagle High School twice. Actually, in fact, one of the greatest moments for me as a father is to see my daughter give a speech at the graduation here at the Taco Bell Arena. And then my second daughter, Lucille, Caroline went to Gonzaga. Lucille went also to Eagle High School, and she was one of the student leaders. She went ahead and went to Willamette. And this girl is right now 23 years old. If you have been following news in this valley, there's a program called P16. Have you been hearing about P16? With the YMCA, the Caldwell School District and the United Way? And it's to get children from low-income families where probably father, mother, grandparents never went beyond high school, and then prepare them to succeed in life. And my daughter is one of the people coordinating that program, Lucille. And then we have Selena, who went to Meridian Charter School of Technology. Now she's at Seattle Pacific, did extremely very well. And then my son, who played with the Roy, that's how we met with our sons playing, actually goes to Eagle High School, doing extremely well. He's a junior class, he's in junior class, and actually was the team captain and a great, great football player. So that I don't have a clue where he got that from. Not from me for sure. I'm not, you know, you guys ever played with the teams? Where there is called pick-up teams, and then you don't pick people because they are not good. I was one of the people who was not picked up. But my son is always the first one to be picked. So a really good opportunity for me to be here. I have told the warriors that for me to be here is a very humbling experience. Number one, given what I've been able to do, I mean, because of the freedom you sacrifice so much for, I can't say thank you enough whatsoever. I can't, really, because again, I come from Kenya, born and raised there, and my father was in the army, my grandfather was in the army, my urban brother was also in the army, and the one who follows me immediately just retired from the Navy as a colonel, but they have never achieved the freedom you have in America. So for me, it's outstanding to be here and see the opportunities I enjoy because of people like you. With that said, I would like just to move on here with some few comments. How much time? What time are we supposed to go? Because remember, as a speaker, I can be here until next week.
So you have, as much time as you need, but normally we about 50 minutes.
Oh, okay, good. Wow, 50 minutes? Huh. Then in such a case, I can just rest. Oh, no, that's okay. We'll take care, and then maybe I'll keep it open for questions and answers. You know, when I was asked to come and talk about overcoming challenges, now remember, this is not the first time. I've done training from 1997 full time. In fact, Randy, the gentleman who was there who gave you that money, and the first time I met him, I was speaking at an event. And that's over 10 years ago. I think it was 1998 or 1999. And so I've done this, I've been asked many times to go and speak about this. But every time I'm asked to speak about overcoming challenges, I'm thinking, are you kidding? What am I going to tell people? Because your challenges are different from my challenges. And the way the way people process life challenging experiences, whether it's an accident, whether it's the death of a loved one, whether it's even divorce, whether it's being downsized, the way we process is always different. And you can have some same people have the same experience and respond differently. So basically what I'm going to share here, again, is not anything from a book, and I'm not going to share I'm not sharing with this expert with authority, no, but I can tell you why that became very clear for me. I've worked with people in different places, but for me, 1974, I went to school in the morning, and after about 2 hours, I saw my grandfather in the school. That is not common in Africa. I have gone to college, and in all my entire schooling time, my father only came to my school 3 times. Number one, the first time he ever came to school was when I was in 5th grade. That is the time my father bought our family first radio. We never had a radio until I was in 5th grade, 1970. And one day I saw my father come to school, and he talked with the principal, and the principal came for me. And when the principal came for me, I went to my office, and my father just held my hand like this, James, and then I followed my father, reached home. My father took me to where the radio was and told me, touch where you touched. You have to know that there's God for criminals. There's God who helps criminals. Why? Because I had just changed the radio from one station to another, but my dad is a 2nd grade dropout, so he didn't know what I had messed up with the radio. He wanted me to put it back where it was. And he looked at me and told me never touch it again. Now you understand why I have my own radio station, which I host a radio program. I loved radio because I almost got killed for them. But so that was the first time my dad came to school. The second time actually was in high school, and I was not feeling well. And the third time was when I graduated. He came to my graduation. So parents don't go to schools like the way we go to schools here. So when my grandfather came to school, he went to the principal's office, and the principal called me, called my brother, called my sister, and we went home because my young brother had died that night of measles. The following year, 1975, I removed the dead body of my sister from the river. She had drowned. She was 5 years old. 1981, my brother died off. And these are all my brothers from the same mother. I'm the oldest of 12 children. My brother died of liver cancer. And then 1995, my sister died going to school in Aramo, Wyoming. 20 years old, with a 4.0 GPA. And 1998, my other brother died of asthma in Africa. I'm not going to talk about my classmates. I'm not going to talk about my uncles. I mean, it's just life sometimes can be challenging. But I'm looking at my mother right now, and she is losing memory. She is very young. I'm her firstborn, and she had me when she was young. And I'm wondering, is she losing because of what she went through? Or losing her mind so young? Or is it an illness, genetic, or I don't know. But what I do know is that you even going from one grief to the next, the experience of the past is different. it comes with different circumstances. It comes at different setting, and so it's like what I mean. Yes, I know this will come to pass too, but I hear people saying there's closure. I don't know what closure is in some life experiences. You just learn to live life in a different way. With some of those experiences being part of who you are. So, with that said, what are some of the things? I mean, again, that's one talking about that. I hear people talking about failure. People today call me Dr. Kituku, writer, professor, all these titles and everything. But actually, people have no clue that I spent 6 years in 3 grades. I can speak in Swahili if you don't hear well. I spent 6 years in 3 grades. I was a freshman in high school at the age of 18. In fact, when I was in Kenya in February, my father shared a personal story that he never told me. And he came to me, he came to hear me speak in high school. And he talked about a time when he heard that I had been accepted in that high school. He went to the high school and they found out that my name was the last of 120 students. The new freshman, 120 students. So my father thought, if by any chance somebody is going to be dropped, it's going to be his son. And they didn't want me back in elementary school again. So he went to the principal's office and they paid tuition for 2 years. Just to make sure that I'm there. But my dad had no clue that the names were written in alphabetical order. that is really, I mean, just some things about life and growing up poor. But I'd like to share with you few things that I hope you can take them on. Number one, and this is now me, I don't know how you can approach it, but if it makes sense to you, one about overcoming challenges is really keeping things in perspective. Keeping things in perspective. Just things in perspective. For several years ago, I used to do Ruby Creek. How many of you have done Ruby Creek here? How many of you have done Ruby Creek? Race to Ruby Creek. Cool, I'm the toughest guy here. Anyway, it actually is not tough, it's being crazy. What is the reason of doing that thing? They are going to do it in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be there. But the thing is, even climbing Mount Bora, I love Idaho for those outdoors. Mount Bora, Cascade, I mean hiking those mountains of Cascade, I have done it all. But about 4 or 5 years ago, I think, 2009 or 8, somewhere there, doctor here at Boise State, Idaho Sports Medicine, my knees were having problems. I went there just to be checked. He told me, hey, man, you are done. Total knee replacement is the only cure. It's bone to bone. And then he found out that I have arthritis. And basically, number one is to deny. Number 2 is to grieve about it, be depressed about it. Number 3 is to go to cortisone until you realize that they are dragging you. So you find a way of staying away from that. Eventually, I decided I'm going to have it. And when I decided I'm going to have it last year, on the 12th of November, I was supposed to go to St. Luke's. I mean, to see my doctor in the morning, but before seeing the doctor, I had to have x-rays. Then at 9, see the doctor. At 10, go to St. Luke's and be examined, give history. I have a lot of things checked. My blood pressure, kg, they were looking at urine, and every single test they can, and then asking me questions. I mean, unbelievable. I was getting so worn out by 11 because they're asking me questions about what killed my grandparents, and I'm looking at them and asking them, are you kidding? I'm from Kenya, Africa. People just die. You don't know why they died. So, no, I mean, I'm serious. I don't even have a clue when my mother was born. Why would I know when it's what killed my grandparents? So, it's different setting there. So I'm feeling really extremely low. And then after that, I have to go have lunch and come back at 1 for another class they call joint knee, joint knee replacement. I mean, joint class. Joint class means those who are going to have knee replacement and the hip replacement, they get the same training. And some of you may know my favorite place to eat egg all over the Northwest. It's called Deli George. How many of you have ever gone to Deli George? goodness, guys, you have never gone to Delhi, George? You have never heard of, okay, you know Carl's Jr. in Broadway? Okay, just behind it, there's a restaurant there with sandwiches. It's called Delhi George. I'm not kidding. The best sandwiches in Northwest. You eat them, you start speaking English. Anyway, so I am going to Delhi George to eat. And here there's this young lady, maybe actually short like this, and she's going towards the same elevator. And I look at her, and she's looking awful. I say, you're looking bad. You must be having a bad day. I mean, you don't tell people that you're looking bad, but I told her that. And then she said yes. And the elevator opens up, and I do something, honestly, I have no clue why I did it. I never done it again, and I don't know whether I will ever do it again. After the elevator closed, I hugged her and said a simple prayer. And she looked at me and said, thank you. I needed that. I'm going to the car to pick my cell phone and call my children to come because my husband is dying. It just hit me like, here I am, feeling bad just because I'm being asked questions about my background so that I can be treated. Yet there's somebody who's going to be a widow. There's a child somewhere who is going to have no father. And again, I had to remember, wait a minute, I must keep things in perspective. I must keep things in perspective. You know, just the other day on Sunday, I picked the newspaper, and when I get the newspaper, the first thing I do, since when my sister died in Wyoming in 1995, I always go to the obituaries and see whether there's somebody I know, maybe I can call them. Sometimes if there's somebody who has lost a child, I might write them a note, though I've never seen them in my life. And basically that taking that pain of mine, of grief, knowing when somebody has lost a loved one, what it means to them, I have been able to do that for strangers, even people who have never seen me. People who are even about to die, then they want a wish. If you go to my car right now, you are going to find a lot of balls signed by Coach Pete and Kellen Moore. And sometimes somebody, their wish is to be with Kellen Moore, but it can't be here. So what I do is just give them their jersey. In fact, even today, I gave one to somebody I have never seen in my life. I was just having lunch and they said something. And the thing here is, when you keep things in perspective and realize, you know, every moment you are alive, there's a reason why. Because there's somebody else who is not there. Then you start looking at life in a different perspective. Number two, and again, that's number one from me. Number two, let me tell you why I thought so big about that. Just having putting things in perspective. There's a story I tell, and Josh, you said you read my book. I'm not going to ask you what is written there. But in that book, Josh, you read, it's called Overcoming Buffaloes. There's a story I told in that book, very simple, and it's a true story. Come to United States, and then about October, September, I think there, a friend of mine took me to Denver to buy a car. And when we went to buy a car, we looked for a car from 10 all the way to 3 in the afternoon, and we couldn't find a car. Eventually, this guy took me to a place to go to eat. I mean, as we are coming in, there were pictures of mashed potatoes, pictures of chicken, and the place is smelling so good. And I'm thinking, where has this been? And where have I been? And you know I'm talking about KFC. And so, we get in, and I was given chicken, and I was eating my chicken with intensity words cannot describe. And towards the last bite, there was a long human hair. Yeah, and my friend saw it and told me not to touch it, and I told him I already paid. But then he called the manager, and the manager came and apologized so much. Said, please forgive us, they say we have food, this doesn't always happen. And then the guy said one sentence I always want to remember for the rest of my life. He said, we'll give you another plate. I wasn't sorry for that. I was thanking God for it. Get me another plate. This guy has no clue how many other times I'll go to KFC and look for another hair. But I wish I was telling you this story to laugh, but it was a reality. Why would I complain about hair? Even today, when I know in our own state of a hideout tonight, about 90 or so thousand children are going to go to bed without enough to eat. You know what I'm saying? Just a few years ago, I think it was 2011, for 3 months, 2011, I think it's where I read somewhere, 90,000 children died in Somalia because of lack of food. And basically it's a question of looking at life and saying we are looking at it in life and looking at it and saying, do I complain because there is hair or do I look at the extra plate? We can never trivialize the human experiences. But what I'm talking about here is really trying to figure out in a myriad of things, in complex things of life, what is that extra thing which can make me say, God, I thank you for this morning. Or I tell my family, the day I went to have my knee surgery with that class, the joint knee class, there was a man there, a woman, after we had been trained, and she's the only one I remember because of what she asked. She said, you guys do have a place where somebody without a family can go and stay? And she was asked, you don't have anybody who can be with you? She said, and I'm thinking, wow, how tough can that be? Here I am, with my daughter, the one who works for the YMCA, taking off for a whole week to be with me. And every night, my wife after work will come stay there with me. When I went home, my 16-year-old son would go from school at 3, come pick me, take me to the post office or to the bank, and then he would drop me home and go back for basketball practice. My daughters, the two of them, were coming home for Christmas, and basically none of them booked to be with a friend because they wanted to be with dad. Really, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, somebody else doesn't have something like that. So again, let's put things in perspective. Number 2, which I consider very important, is this. And I don't know how I can say this. And this is only strong people who can do this. It's only strong people who can say, I need help. I was speaking many years ago in Twin Falls. And as I was speaking, there was a gentleman, and it was a conference for mental health. Because after my sister died in Olaran, Wyoming, I did a lot of investigations about mental health and what it does. And I found out actually, in fact, there's a lot of challenges, there's stigma and everything. But a gentleman from the East Coast said one of the greatest lessons he learned as a mental health patient is to say my name is Mo Armstrong. That's why his name's Mo Armstrong, and I need help. Folks, I'll tell you this, only strong people can say I need help. And because in this world, nobody can do everything alone, but everybody can do something. Where I grew up, we used to have water buffaloes. And when I'm talking about water buffaloes, I'm talking about dangerous animals, not like Wyoming bisons, those are toys. And when there was a buffalo in the village, life changed. I remember the first time in my life to hear women screaming is because there was a buffalo. The first time for me to go to hospital to see somebody heal, he had been struck by a buffalo. And you couldn't tell whether it was a human being or something. The first time in my life ever to see a lion trying to climb a tree, it was running away from a buffalo. Dangerous animals. But when there was a buffalo in the village, when I talk about these buffaloes, I think about really the social challenges, the things which come in life. We never knew when the buffalo was going to come. We never knew who was going to be attacked. We never knew which direction. So basically, those are some of the things of life, which sometimes you never have planned. Nobody plans to have a loved one die. Nobody plans to have another one shot at. Nobody plans to have to prepares to marry so that they can be divorced. But those things do happen. Like they happen without warning, just like our buffaloes did. But how do people overcome those? And that's where I'm coming to. When there was a buffalo in the village, there's a tribe there which used to use their spears. And guys, I have to tell you something. I love my spear. James, this is a spear from Congo, West Africa, but it's in 2 parts so that I can carry. Kobe, this is the spear. This is the sharp part of it. James, you didn't touch the plastic. That's the sharp part of it. But I used to have leather so that students, when I go to speak in high schools, they don't use it for weapon. Yeah, I love my spear because this is the only way I know how to keep boys from my 3 daughters. Guys, I'm better than American fathers. American fathers use a shotgun. I kill them slowly. I know I haven't done it yet. But well, these people in East Africa, what they would do when they got their spears, from based on the stories we had, is that they used to hound the buffalo, and one person would spear the buffalo and run. And as the buffalo is running towards that person, somebody else will spear it from another corner. And the buffalo would forget the source of the first pain and go to the source of the second pain. And then somebody else will spear it from another corner, and the buffalo would forget the source of the second pain and go to the person who was hit at that time. And within a short time, with the people just shooting the buffalo at one at a time, the animal is brought down. Which brings us to this one thing. In life, you can never overcome your buffaloes alone. You can't. You can't. You know, Roy talked about just when I was visiting with the warriors, some people who have been there for me and everything. And I can tell you a personal secret. Since about 10 years ago, I decided that I'm not going to wait for people to die, and then I speak at their funeral how good they were to me. I'm going to tell them before they die. In fact, I've even told my parents, even if they die and I don't go to their funeral, I will never leave DOT because they already know what I think about them and how much I appreciate them. But I decided that to answer that question is I would pick 50 people I can look at and say, you know what, Rodney, this happened, or this, you did this specific thing for me at a certain time. Just pick one thing they did. They may have done a lot of things. I mean, a good example is my dad. Yes, I'm from Kenya. Yes, I married in the traditional way, which means I did give goats. Actually, that's another thing I'm fighting in America. I just found out that if my daughters get married here, I'm not going to get goats. In fact, someone told me that I may end up paying for the wedding. That is not fair. But I'll tell you this, if my son's marries here, I'm going to bring goats to your home. I'm not kidding. Just pray that you are not living in an apartment. But the thing here is, I remember when I was getting married, something happening. I was working in a town, I had gone there to do some business, and I came to the town near my home, and I was told by someone, my father is in another town waiting for me. And when I went there, he had said that I go there with a vehicle, and I went there with a small pickup. I found 40 goats. My father had bought 40 goats so that I can have a wife. I mean, that is something, people expect to do, but he did have to do it. I'm his firstborn. And my in-laws had said, no, we don't want that. We just want them to have one life, happy life. But my dad has said, I will have to do something for my son. You know, there are a lot of things I wish I could sometimes tell him how much I did not like him. But the thing here is, when I remember that small thing, just something like that, it really means a lot. I can tell you, here, 1995, I was working at Idaho Power, and my office was in the the first floor. The CEO of Idaho Power, Joe Marshall, was, you know Joe Marshall? Yes, Joe Marshall was in 9th floor. 9th floor. And here I am, writing my first book, East African Folktales for All Ages. See, very crude, English bad. And I give him a copy, because the only reason I gave him a copy is selfish reason. Why? I just wanted him to endorse it. And the guy doesn't bring the book on time. Basically I've been going upstairs to check. But remember, this guy is in 9th floor and I'm in 1st floor. Which means you guys, you are military, you know about authority. There is no, there should be a chain of command. But there, I just would go there and talk with him. But Joe Marshall one day, I'm in my office and I get a telephone call from the secretary and say, Vincent, we just wanted to make sure that you are there. Because they never used to see me there, I used to sneak a lot. But the thing is, but a few minutes later, Joe comes to my office. Now, I have to tell you this, I'm not an organized person. And I have a private working area and a place where I meet with people. And if you come to visit me in my office and you come to my working area, if I kill you, you're on your own. The thing is, because that is not a place where public should come. But Joe Marshall comes to my office, looking horrible. And the guy says, you know, Vincent, I am sorry I didn't bring it in time. Why? Because I had given my family to read it. After I read it, and I realized what you have and what you are bringing to our country. And I'm thinking, wow, this is the CEO of Hydro Power. And he is giving me this encouragement. And you know what? Until up to today, I don't even know whether Joe Marshall remembers that he endorsed my book. I don't even think his sons and grandkids know about it. But to me, that was almost like being given a gentle push. He has no clue after he has taught me that. I sold so many books to the company because he had said it's a good one. But the thing is, it's just amazing how we can look at people, and those people we find a way of telling them thank you. And I found out the more you tell people thank you, the more you find a way of getting network to help you with things. You guys, you know, I had a seminar last week with Kellen Moore, and that's another story I will share with you quickly here. But in that seminar, we had Delhi George, sponsored people to come who could not make it. I have another friend of mine, I'm not authorized to say her name here, and she's blessed with resources, and she sponsored 10 people who couldn't come. Then I had KBXL, you know KBXL radio, Christian radio program. They also sponsored people. Channel 7, think about this, Channel 7 talked about that program for 3 weeks without asking a penny. And so what I'm talking about here is, my friends, don't isolate yourself and feel like what you are going through or the challenges you are having are unique to you. Actually, open yourself and you are going to find out this world, there are a lot of people with spears that can help you. Because the battle is when they run to you and you don't have somebody else deflecting it, you are dead meat. And the thing is, really, you have to have people taking the battle towards another direction. And the other thing which is very critical, and again, that's for me, is always have something to live up to. Always looking, something you can look at and say, I want to see tomorrow because of this and that. I want something to look forward to. And I don't know why, because of growing up without a lot of resources like in America, why that is, maybe that is the reason why that became important to me. Let me put it in a different way. When my son, the one you know, is the only son I have, he was 2 years old, my wife sent me to go and buy him underwear. How long have you been married?
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years. Okay, I think I have had the authority to explain to you something very important. If you want to live with your wife for 30 years and longer, do what you are told. Okay, so, why you think he's laughing? Is that not wisdom? I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Story.
I mean, I am on this side of 50s, I can tell people the truth. The only, you know you are going to be called by people the head of the family. That's only in public. And I'm not kidding, if you play, your wife has to give you permission to say so. Yeah, so I just love it. Have you guys seen this movie, My Bad Greek Wedding something? I think that movie has the best line about families. They say the man is the head, but the wife is the neck, and the neck can turn the head in direction. So that's true. So my wife sends me to go and buy this underwear, and I never thought about this kid is 2 years old. When he was about the age of your son there, he was lying somewhere, and I was thinking, will he ever, his underwear was showing, and I thought, wait a minute, this kid has been wearing underwear since when he was 2 years old. Now this kid is about 5, that time 7, 8, and he's already, underwear is part of his life. I remember the day my mother bought me my first underwear. I was 13 years old, and my mother came home with something wrapped on a piece of paper, and told me this is yours, and I looked at it, and I asked her, what is it for? And my mother told me, you see the tag? It goes on the back. And those are the only instructions I got about underwear. And then I picked this thing and I put it up to here. And I was walking like this in the village showing everybody. Because it was like social promotion. One of the best things ever to happen. I mean, it was on my chest, just up to the chest. And you know, a few years later, my mother came to a small hospital where I was suffering from malaria. My mother did not like the floor. She went to the bathroom, she didn't like the bathrooms too, and she came and sat where I was, that small bed, suffering from malaria, and she removed the shoes she had. At the age of 17, my mother gave me my first pair of shoes. But you know what? Those were things where I was looking forward to. I always wanted to grow up to have my own shoes. I wanted to grow up to have my own underwear. One of the greatest things that I showed is when I go to schools. I think I showed it when I came to your school, Roy, is when I was 9 years old, I saw a Catholic priest who came to my place and he had a watch. And a watch was the first technology I ever saw in my life. And I wanted a watch so bad. By the time I was in 6th grade, I used to get a piece of paper, write 12, 6, 9, 3, long arm, short arm, and put it around my wrist. I have a photo taken 1972 in 6th grade with a fake watch. And basically I've lived to be a point where a few years ago I had my own watch customized, Kituku watch. My father wears a watch called Kituku. My mother wears a watch called Kituku. And the thing is, I want to talk about having something to live up to. My friends always, sometimes it's very tough to have something to live up to. But you know, even if it's to go to visit somebody who is sick, even if it's to go and read a book, even if it's to go and do something, just little something to have, something to live up to, it changes your life perspective completely, and it gives you a reason to face tomorrow. And I'm not talking about huge things. No. The huge things do happen, and the huge things come. But basically, I think, especially when we are trying to overcome challenges, one of the hardest things and the worst thing for me is to have a huge thing you can't handle. The most important thing to be able to go through life changes is to have things which you can manage. I would like to go to something else, and then I will show you slides there. And this is this. Oh, Ray, thank you so much for sharing this with me. I heard that you are doing something in the community, and I applaud you for that. Josh, what you do for yourself can get you by. What you do for others is what gets you ahead. Whether in your spiritual pursuits, whether in your personal goals, whether in your professional work, whatever you do for yourself can get you by. What you do for others is what gets you ahead. There is a Native American proverb which says, when you were born, you cried, and the whole world rejoiced. Live in such a way that when you die, the whole world will cry and you will rejoice. And that means realizing that any moment you take time to be with somebody, any moment you do something, whether you are in environment, whether animals, whether you are, children with special needs, anything you do to make somebody else's life better, it's what really brings you fulfillment. Not a paycheck, not the car you drive, and not the home you live in, and basically not even your job position, the things you do for others. You know, I'll tell you a personal story. Before I came to the United States, I had never seen American football. I came to land Wyoming and I would see young people running, and then they will roll a ball, they will fall down, and their parents will clap. Never made sense to me. I mean, when people fall in Africa, you pick them up, you don't clap your hands. And so for 6 years, I never went to a game. Then I came to Boise State, and Boise State, there was a coach by the name Poki Allen. You remember Poki Allen? Oh, by the way, before I continue with this story, is there any Pando here? Anybody from U of I? Oh my goodness, Dave, please don't tell me that. How would you make such a mistake? Anyway, no. No, the reason I asked is because I don't like Pandos being close to my spear when I do this. But yeah. So, coach, I asked him to come to Idaho Power to speak for, actually, by the way, it's a very good school. Last night, you hear me talking about this, and last night we spent time with my son looking on how he can get recruited there too. So, I'm just testing here. But I called Pokialan to come to Idaho Power to speak to members of Toastmasters about cancer because my mother is a survivor. And when the guy came, he talked about some challenges young people go. But he said something which really disturbed me. Coach Pokialan said, 50% of the young people playing football have never seen a father. This is 1995. And as you know, as we are speaking here, about a few years ago, maybe 7 years now, there was a magazine called Family Digest. Family Digest, it said that 71% of African American children are being born without a father at home. And so basically when he said that, he passed away, and then another coach came, helped Boise State lose games, they kicked him out. Then they had another coach who came and helped Boise State do what was important back then, beat U of I, and then he left and went to Arkansas. His name, you remember his name was Nuts. No, Nut. I had just to say Nuts because really left at a very bad time. But Boise State had another coach. And this coach's name was Doug Carter. You remember Doug Carter from Pocatello? Never ask me why I did this is another thing I have no clue. That time I'm reading newspaper when Pokialan was here. And quarterback, his name was Tony, is being arrested by police. Others are doing this. And I'm thinking, these kids, they have such an opportunity to play football and basically be better than this. And I decided to write an article on how they can win games. And then I wrote another article on how they can stay away from drugs. I never knew the name of the coach. I had never seen a game. One game, I had never been to a game. And then the coach, after I used to fax the articles, he called me and asked me to go to speak to the team. After I gave the first speech, the coach called me again and asked me to do another one. And then we started speaking. This is 1998. And you know, 1999, after the first season, U of I did a very bad thing for us. We were just about to win, we were tied, and then they did a 2-point conversion. And I've never forgiven them. And the song, can we say the last time? Well. Yeah, but it did happen. It did happen. They won. But the thing here is, the coach, we went to 1999 spring, we went to the Cottonwood Grill. You know the Cottonwood Grill? And we sat down there. I still have the original copy, a copy of the original diagram I drew for him on how to change an entire program and him as an individual. And we talked, and then after he started having me every time. When they won the first championship of 1999, this coach called me and he gave me these pants. He gave me, these pants, this jacket, this t-shirt, and I have a hat. And he made me be the honor of a full coach's uniform for a sport I had no clue how they play it. And I wish I can say that I have had any influence with it and what I've done over the years. But it's very important you realize now, this is the 15th year being the motivational speaker for Boise State football team. And I've never been able to be paid a penny. In fact, a few years ago, Coach Pete wanted to, and I said no. Why? Because in life, there are more important things than money. And also, the truth is, when you do things for free, you don't get fired. Anyway, I mean, how do you fire somebody you are not paying? Anyway, they must really mess up completely. But the thing here is, actually, that input there, Coach Carter leaves, goes to Arizona. He caused me to go and help him there. And on our way home, I never knew that he was going to pay me because I had been doing things for him for free. He had paid the airline. He had treated me very well to good meals. On our way home, he picks an envelope and tells me this is yours. And when I opened it, it was the highest amount of money I had ever been paid for 2 hours of a job in my life. I love America. And the thing is, it was just amazing. And I realized, wait a minute, I was not speaking in the football to do this, but what I want to share with you is this. When you forget yourself for others, others don't forget you. When you forget yourself for others, others don't forget you. And you don't have to ask permission to do something good for other people. The only person you need to ask permission from is yourself. And sometimes we look at what we have, we don't have experience. We may think I'm not educated, I'm not. Those things we don't have, those are things which are very true for. The most important thing is this: do you care enough that you can spend a few minutes on something? Do you care enough so that you can spend a few minutes in something which is important? You are going to find networks. You are going, when you volunteer or when you go to do some things with your community, you find people you will never see in another way. Number two, you learn things you can never learn in another way. I mean, actually, right now, I have a problem running. I have a problem watching football because I can't stay away from it. I mean, even March Madness now. I didn't want to tell you that March Madness is going on so that you can change the time of visiting here. But the thing is, you learn things. You connect with the people, you learn things, and then sometimes the experience you get there may end up actually being your next position, the one you are going to use to get your next job. I think I have connected more with people we are volunteering, doing things for the community together, than actually people who are paying me to work for them. So that's it, and I'll tell you something and then we go there. This is the last one. 2003, Boise State made me their homecoming Grand Marshal. And when I came here, you know, Grand Marshal, the things they are given, I was given 2 containers of candies, towels, socks, a lot of things. And at night I took them to my home. My children saw me, asked me, Dad, why did you bring this home? I told them, for you guys. Oh, no, Dad, you are not supposed to bring them home. What was I supposed to do with them? They told me, Dad, when you are being taken downtown in Boise, in that convertible, you're supposed to be throwing those candies to the kids who are along the street. Nobody told me what to do with them. I had to be a good father. Take them home to your kids. Now you know why they have never called me back to be a grandmother. Because I take things home. But the thing is, you know, you never learn unless you participate. You never learn unless you participate. And one of the worst things you can ever do is to be a spectator in life. Worst thing you can ever do is to be a spectator in life. Be a participant. And sometimes, and most of the times, you don't have to ask permission to participate. Next. Yes.
Akash, can you hit the lights a little bit?
Once I figure out how, yes.
That's good. Thank you. I didn't want people to sleep. Yes. And this is my family when we came to Wyoming. And we learned very quick that in Wyoming, it can snow anytime. So I'm showing slides here, and I'm showing the photo of my family when we came to Wyoming. And in this photo, my daughter is wearing snowsuit because we learned that in Wyoming, it can snow anytime. That photo was taken in July. We were not pretending. We are just being good parents. But if you look at my shoes, you can see tennis shoes. One of the things I love about that photo is the fact that I never knew that you are supposed to, you are supposed to match when you come. You wear whatever is available. I carried this to Wyoming when I was 28, and that was my 12th year of shoes. And my father, when I was in high school and college, he bought me one pair of shoes every year. And that was my Sunday best, it was for my sports, it was for my anything. One pair of shoes every year. So it's just amazing. Here you could come and go to Salvation Army with 50 cents and go with several pairs. America is just a blessing. Next slide.
Hit the B or?
No, now forward.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
So yeah, next slide. Yeah, I was in Kenya wanting to take a slide of a photo of a store my mother used to own, and that blue store there. And I was about to take this photo. A gentleman who was there stood up and they asked me, "Do you remember me?" And I couldn't. He was having tears in his eyes, just there watering. His clothes were just hanging on skeleton. And this guy is asking me, "Do you remember me?" He had only 2 teeth remaining. And I couldn't. And he eventually told me his name. And when he said his name, I realized he was one of my top best friends in 7th grade. That gentleman who is seated down there was my classmate. And immediately he turned and looked the other way. Never looked at me again. The following day, next slide, I saw this kid. He had been taken, he had been sent away from school because of $106. 106. The other guy, my classmate, had not gone on to high school. My father could afford $30. His father couldn't. And because of $30, there was that difference. And then I saw this boy, and he was sent away from home because he did have, sent away from school because he did have $106. That night, I had spent a night in an hotel paying $100. When I was there, another woman was announced on the newspaper and killed herself, leaving 6 children because she could not afford $250 to take her son, as her daughter to high school. In Kenya, education is not the only thing, it's everything. And if you don't have education, your life is doomed. Unless you want to become a prostitute or criminal. And I'm there looking at these young people, 13 years old. And you look at a girl, she's 13 years old. She's orphaned because AIDS has taken a lot of people. My elementary school, when I went to school, Mary Kay, there were 2 orphans. In the same elementary school, 30% of the kids or more are orphans because of AIDS. And I'm looking at these young kids, and I'm just thinking, they are just like my children. A girl would pass the exam to go to high school, but because they have nothing, they will be kept in 8th grade and kept again so that they can get taller and get married. Next slide. Look at this. A girl. This girl is born by a father and a mother like me, albino, with light skin pigmentation. Very bad thing. Sometimes their mothers are suspected of having an affair. The other thing is sometimes they be considered evil. Other times they can be killed because people think they have supernatural powers. Very intelligent. So basically, I told you about my challenges of life, and that was just a snapshot like this. There are a lot of other things I cannot have even to talk about. But in my life, I had never asked God why all those things happened to me when my brothers and sisters died. I had never asked God why we were so poor and basically gone through a lot of other things. Never. But I'll tell you this, 2010, when I was so much in the village and saw what had happened to my village, I couldn't take it. I came back here. I live in Nigo. How many of you know a place here called Anniversary Inn? Anniversary Inn? You know the Anniversary Inn? Anniversary Inn is a place where people who go and then you can pick a room which you want. It can be Caribbean, it can be Romeo and Juliet, it can be the jungle, and it can be. And in 2003, I went there to pick one for myself and my wife. And hey, listen carefully, another thing. Sometimes you guys, you need to leave that child with your neighbor or your parents and go spend time alone. And that's very important because that child, after they start driving, it's bye-bye dad. And you think like, why are you leaving me? You're my child. but they want their own life. So it's very important. Anyway, don't tell them I told you to go to like Kazari. But here we are. My wife tells me to go and look for a place, for a room, because we had basically finished all of them. And then I go to this one. It's called Presidential Suite. And this is the blessings of America. A man comes to America with one pair of shoes. The suit you saw me there is what I came to this country with. That was it. And here I go to the presidential shoot, 2003, and I find, wait a minute, this is my home. This is the bed I have home. I'm not going to stay here. And so I'm very basically blessed in a unique way. But then I never questioned God about the challenges of life. But this time, 2010, I was so depressed after seeing so much pain and so much emptiness with young people. Actually, and I'm going to make this statement very strong, I had no meaning of life. Never. I mean, you look at it and you wonder why even be alive. But around March of 2010, I realized, wait a minute, I am a speaker. First of all, I can just get one child and make sure that they go to school. So that boy, the first boy you saw, that was my first one to send to school. Paid for him to go and paid everything to go to school and finish high school. Then I started picking one child here, started telling friends one child here, talking. We ended up saving this lady, this girl. In fact, I have made arrangements for her to come to America this coming July as a leadership training from the Tony Robbins Foundation. And so we picked that, and let's go to the next one here. This is the next slide. This is a girl, this one here, who's sitting there, standing here with their arms like this. Is a girl who is seated with the arms folded. And what they are told her, so I just wanted them to know which one I'm talking about. And this girl, 2011, I get a email. She had been sent away from school because she lacked tuition. Her mother died 2002, and when she arrived home, she found her father had brought a man, 60 years old, to give her away. Just a girl in sophomore class, to be given away to a man, and because they have nothing. And basically, sometimes we can say, "Oh, that's a horrible father," but I don't know what we can do or how we can judge that, because we don't know how to survive like them. When people have to do whatever they can to survive, people will do whatever they can to survive. So we take her, only that to go there this January, and they find out that actually not only are they poor to a point where they couldn't pay tuition, she's given underwear by classmates. I mean, we're talking about where poverty is. So we pick these children, and the next slide there, this is a home of another one. A home. Let me show you the next one. Go to the next slide. You see this girl? She passed to go to high school 2005. She couldn't make it. I mean, she passed very well. She had nothing. She was accepted to a national school. She couldn't make it. And in the process, she would go to school for 1 week, send home, 1 month, send home. And in 2009 or 10, she had a baby. But then she was told about my program, which I formed to help especially young girls who are from destitute families to go to high school. And she heard about it. We put her back to school. She passed so well. Now she's one of the top universities. But she lives in that house. Put back that house. Please. This is her home. Do you know what she told me her greatest fear is? But this, Kobe and James, this house is made of grass and just branches of trees picked and put together, but with nothing. It's horrible when you see it. And this house is, and you need some cotton, some paper bags, some are picked from nowhere. When I left here, I was supposed to go to speak. I had to be taken to my room, actually, because my body shocked. Because I grew up poor, but never anything close to this. And so this girl told me, next slide, this is a girl, as one of our students with a baby, and she told me that our greatest fear is that our child is going to be killed by a snake at night. But you know what? It takes about $2,000 to build a home with the 2 bedrooms and a bathroom outside. $2,000. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. That's something so simple. I mean, for us blessed in America. So actually, as I'm speaking, when I came back, the first week I arrived here, I arrived on Tuesday, and on Friday, I had gotten enough money to build them a home. And now I am in the process of building 7 homes since just February. Completely. There is no problem that cannot be solved so long as people are throwing spear towards it. Can I say that in Swahili? I can do it. But go to the next slide. Look at this woman, 2010, January. Find out, HIV positive. I am not a medical doctor. Where is Josh? No. Josh, are you the one who wants to be in medicine?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what this means. I mean, immunity level, and they say CD4 count. The CD count, I don't know what is what. It was 181. 101, which means actually, in fact, she could be in coma. Then we find out that medication with food for a month is about $40, $50 a month. Food for immunity and medication, and you keep someone alive. Told a friend of mine, retired in Colorado, she took 2 women, and here she is now. She has her own business and paying tuition for her daughter to go to school. And now we have another one. Let's go to the next one. This was one of the more time, 2011, I'm traveling in Kenya, another place. And then we gave a ride to a guy, and when we alighted from the vehicle, I heard a kid say, "It's a vehicle." And all of a sudden, about 20 kids came, 30 kids came, and they are coming to see the vehicle. But they came from that building there behind. And if you can see that building, there's a foundation which is up to here with the bricks. But then after that, you can see some poles. And those poles are put that way, and then they are fastened with bed sheets. A school with a bed sheet walls. I couldn't believe it. I never said anything, I just kept quiet. Why? Because it was raining, and every child, those kids, you can see even they have some, this is January in Kenya, and it's supposed to be hot, but because they were rained on, you can see them with these cardigans and some things on the top of their heads. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, it takes less than $10,000 to build a classroom. It can't be so. You can see me here now in that red. This is January on the 26th. I'm giving them enough money to build a school. And within 3 weeks, they had built an unbelievable school. I wish I could bring you the slides here. But the thing here is little things which make such a difference. You don't have to have everything. You don't have to do much. But just doing one thing for somebody, something which gives you reason to wake up tomorrow. I don't have material things. No. I drive a good car, a Toyota Camry. I live in a great place, Eagle Idaho. Great meal. I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat tonight. It's just a question of going there and make a choice. But truly, I don't have all the things people consider success. Because to me, from that very long time, I realized that is elusive. But fulfillment is achievable. I think that is the last one. Can you check? I had to show you my dad and my mom. You know, folks, I want to close with this. Kobe, I don't know how you were brought up. My friends, I don't know Mary Kay, I don't know Maria, I have no idea. You know what? I don't know, Ray. My father is a 2nd grade dropout, and my mother is a 6th grade dropout. But I am who I am because of those 2 people. I don't care whether I am known in the world. One of the greatest statements has ever been made for me is not the awards I've won, is not the things which are written, but it's a statement which was made the other day by my mother when I was in Kenya. She was in my high school, and they said that I and my dad, they don't know the price of medicine. They don't know the price of food. They don't know the price of clothing. Why? Because since when I can remember, I made my parents' comfort my priority. They made my future success their priority when I was young. My dad would do anything so that I could go to school. If I did not do well, he would spank me. 1972, my father spanked me when I was 6th position because he wanted me to succeed. When I passed to go to high school with my young brother, he took me with my brother to the university and they stood at the gate and they told us, my children, you see that place? That is where men and the children, women come and get their knives to cut a portion of the national cake. That's my dad. I mean that. And so what I'm just saying here is, regardless of what we become, regardless of who we are, never forget our roots. Questions? Yes, you can see on the Yes. Well, questions now. Oh, you guys, if you don't ask questions, you're lying. I know you are listening. Okay,
We talked to Boise State as a motivational, team motivational speaker. But is it the same message you tell them, or do you tell them?
Oh, every time I create new ones. Yeah, in fact, I have a new one. Maria, you remember when you came to my seminar?
Yes, sir.
The things I talked about, the 5 things. You remember the 5 things I talked about?
Yes, sir.
Number 1?
Well, perspective.
Yes,
No,
yes.
the other one.
And I talked about also, the things I want to share next one when I go, are new things and I've been working on them. One is unforgiving passion. When you are so passionate about something that it can't let you go. Like this thing now about Africa. Do you know how many kids we have right now? This one's about Africa. We started by sending $300. This year alone, I have sent already over 50,000. And the next, I just passed on my way here. I went through the bank and told the bank to start preparing for 20,000. And it's unbelievable. We have now 150 orphans in school. We have 17 in college and the rest in high school. We have, and of course the other, we are helping women with the AIDS. We are helping some children whose parents have died and they have no food. It's just amazing. So that is one. Number 2,
Don't blame others.
yes,
Or-
don't blame others. Don't blame others for your circumstances. And then there's something else too, uncompromising discipline. The discipline whereby every single day you are going to do something so that you can achieve your goal. Uncompromising discipline. The other one is, hey, Jeff, you need to pay me for this speech. Anyway, let's go to the next. You are taking a lot of notes. I'm going to keep it there. No, uncompromising discipline. The other one is uncommon creativity. Uncommon creativity is creativity which you use already what you have so that you can get what you don't have. Uncommon creativity, where you use whatever you already have to get what you don't have. And the other one is very important. Unexpected productivity. Unexpected productivity. Kellen Moore read what a coach in Oregon said he needed for a quarterback. And there were several things. And he realized that he never had any of those. And today, Kellen Moore is the most talked about college quarterback. That is an unexpected productivity. And then the final one is undiscriminating network. Undiscriminating network. And one of the things I tell people, and that's what I'm going to be telling Boise State, in this world, as now this program I do for Africa, it has taught me that anybody you meet, what's your name again? Gavin. Listen carefully. Anybody you meet, always treat them the way you treat your great uncle, who is a multimillionaire and is about to die, and you want their will. You hear? Completely. But the reason why here, 2008, I'm in Eugene, having dinner with some people who had hired me there. A woman who is serving us there comes to the place and starts listening to my Wyoming accent, and then within a very short time, she don't know. We leave and we go. I don't even have a clue whether I tipped her. That's how bad. No. Anyway, I don't know. Then last year, I went to my computer and found somebody had donated $500. And then I looked where? Eugene? That was the first time to get someone from far. And then I called the number which was there. She is the woman who served us. And a waitress, and not only that, last week she called and donated again. She is a child now from my own village. She is educating. You never know with people. Undiscriminating network. Yeah. Sometimes we look at the one with the tie. Sometimes we look at the one with the smooth skin, and we treat them better than we treat the person you see holding saying I need food. But even the person who says I need food can teach you something you don't know. Okay, thank you for asking. That was a short answer, wasn't it?
And I'd argue that a lot of the same points apply to the white board.
Oh, yes.
The discipline and the passion and all required to be a great football player.
Yes.
Also required to be leadership.
Yes. Yes, finding something which is important to you and you want to do it. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Kituku, Josh Barnes has something to.
Oh,
I have this. This is our custom to thank our speakers.
oh, and thank
This
you.
is a shirt for you.
Oh, thank you.
This is a challenge coin, military tradition.
Oh.
To show appreciation.
You know, Josh, this means more to me. I can never say. Thank you.
And this is a donation from the Foundation for Hands of Hope.
Oh, my, yeah, thank you so much.
And Dr. Kituku, I want to offer my thanks. We've been friends for many years, and thank you so much. On short notice, sir, this was awesome.
Oh, you would have even called me last night and I would be here.
Yes, sir.
I mean, why would I not be here for Kobe? Why would I not be here for George?
Yes, sir.
Why would I not be here for George?
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
Josh. What? I mean,
It's awesome.
it's
But
amazing.
what I want to do right now
Yeah.
is I want you to be part of this.
Yes,
Yesterday,
yes.
one of our employees celebrated their first year anniversary
Oh,
with the organization.
Oh.
And so we have something that we want to, so Joanne Darren, front and center.
oh, John, come on.
So on behalf
Yes,
of the foundation,
yes.
we're giving Joanne
Oh,
a hoodie.
oh.
Wyakin Warrior. There's a card in there from RK and Lori, and then there's a card from the academy.
Oh,
Right.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, great.
So-
Thank you. Yeah, thank
So
you.
anyways, this, Joanne has dedicated and has been committed to the foundation for over 2 years.
Oh.
She was one of the first volunteers with Jeff
Yes.
to help start this organization.
Oh.
So I just wanted to thank.
And Jeff too, again, God bless you for what you have done. There is nothing more important.
And that concludes our PDS for this month. Next month, we're going to have, it's going to be a group from Manpower, which is an agency here in Idaho, and we're going to be talking about, or they'll be talking about job trends, hot jobs in the market in Idaho, and also in the nation. So please get the word out.
I'd like to say one other thing too. You guys heard me talk about STEM a little bit, and the new class is going to hear a little bit of this too. But
What we're trying to do is to always, as you know, up your chances of getting some really quality careers established. There are lots of different fields, but one that we're pursuing right now and working with Boise State is on STEM. It's science, technology, engineering, and math. There's a group now that's formed. It's got about a dozen people and a bunch of deans from different colleges. Several of all the veterans organizations that we work with are RK Williams and Sean Burlon, all of them are Mark Howman. Mark's here. Mark's in on this group too. We're trying to figure out the best way for non-traditional students, specifically veterans, specifically white warriors, can be prepared early on in the career. That we told them there's some challenges early on when a veteran comes back to school, especially in math. How do we get some bright people in our organization? How do you prepare them and help them in the first couple of years so that they get their stride and are able to compete in some of the more technical fields. So this is a big deal. We just got called, we're going to be in a panel discussion in Atlanta in a few weeks to talk to Society of Engineers around America about the Wyakin Award program. So this is going to be something you hear a lot more about. But what Roy is talking about with manpower doesn't just apply to STEM, it applies to, we have several different fields represented here. But what we're trying to do is to continue to pursue objectively what are the right careers for you to go into. And you make your decisions so that you have a better chance of landing a good position somewhere. So that's good, Roy. That'd be great.
That concludes our seminar for today.